Everybody, welcome to Stack Your Points. Thanks for watching and listening. And this is the Friday Q&A segment. So your questions, we answer them, sometimes up to an hour, sometimes it creates its own episode in and of itself. So if you have questions, always feel free to drop them on the YouTube channel or email us at stackyourpoints@gmail.com. But we hope you enjoy this week's Q&A session. Thanks for watching and listening. Welcome to another episode of Stack Your Points. As always, I'm Matt from the Matt Clausen YouTube channel, broadcasting from the frozen tundra that is New York State. Don't ask what our temperature is in Celsius. You will cry. I guarantee it. Joined, as always, by RJ from Do You Take Cards. RJ, how are you dealing with the tundra that is this terrible place?
I have alternative heating on right now. I got the gas fireplace going, which is surprisingly good at heating the backside of my house. So I am toasty warm. It is 15 degrees outside, and we're getting 8 inches of snow tomorrow before noon. So I am not very happy with Mother Nature at the moment.
And I'm supposed to go back north tomorrow. Awesome. All right. And finally, from the lovely confines of not New York, we have Tariq from Reek's Rewards. Tariq, how are you doing today?
I'm good. And unlike whatever frozen hell y'all are dealing with, it's 64 here and I'm feeling okay.
I hate you. I hate you so much right now.
RJ, the Packers beat the Saints, so I don't know why you're giving me the bird. All right. Enjoy the win that I didn't care about because the Saints suck.
34-0, which is going to be the title of this episode.
That's fine. Again, my day ended with sports when UTSA won the Myrtle Beach Bowl and we destroyed the beach chickens of Coastal Carolina.
There's a Myrtle Beach Bowl?
Yes. They're followed by the famous Idaho Potato Bowl in Boise. I love college football.
I'm just going to let that hang there for a couple more seconds because, yeah, you can take your blue field and just go away. All right. And we're going to continue on with our viewer questions. We have a multitude of questions that are pretty solid to think about here at the end of the year. The end of the year brings, points of reflection. We have 3 different questions that were asked that all kind of play on this theme. So the first question, it's going to be a 3-parter. The first part comes from Vincent P in the Discord, who asks, what cards do you hope to acquire in 2025 and why? The next part will come from John R. First time question, long time viewer, solid supporter on our Discord, who asks, what cards are you closing, product changing, or downgrading in 2025? And then Keith asks, longtime friend of the show, asks, do you have any regrets about the cards that you applied for in 2024? So we can answer, feel free to answer in any which way you want, but this is kind of one super question in 3 parts. Tariq, we'll start with you.
Okay, so I guess I'm just going to go in the order just because it just makes it easier for the viewers and the listeners for the podcatchers. So starting off with Vincent, for your question, there's a couple cards that I hope to acquire in 25. First one being the United Explorer. Please see the last 3 episodes as to why I want that card. But all jokes aside, it's for a lot of the benefits, the free check bag, priority boarding, the 2 club lounge passes, and upwards of 60,000 or even 65,000 if you get a mailer. I think I saw one I got on a mailer as high as 70,000 miles. Recently was denied for the card for reasons, so that's one I'm gonna pace myself, apply later. On top of that, the United Business, just to kind of keep adding on to my United mileage plus bank because I plan on doing a few travels. And then other than that, it would be the personal IHG Premier, just because I like IHG. It's a great. It's a weird thing. It's not necessarily a backup for me. It's almost just the partner because I've used it is not as much as Hyatt, but still a good amount. So having the additional free night certificate, having the additional mile, the IHG points top up would just be great for me. And then, maybe I can just kind of go back to doing personal spend if I want to use my business cards as actual business transactions, kind of separate the personal and the business for tax reasons. So those are like my three that I'm like, oh, the ones that I want. And only other one that I could think of would possibly be the United Club, but we'll see how the year goes for me. It's a lot of cards, so I don't think I'll be getting the high velocity that I was getting last year, this past year. So not anymore. So for John's question, there was two cards that I plan to close PC downgrade. One of them I already did and that was I actually product changed my American Express Blue Cash Every Day to the Blue Cash Preferred, mostly because I want to benefit on the cashback side on the streaming, because I'm switching from YouTube TV to Hulu Plus Live TV, for YouTube increasing the price to the same price as Hulu Live. And then the only card that I will be canceling is the Hyatt business card, which will also answer Keith's question, which is the card that I regret opening, because even though I did get a good amount of Hyatt points that I'm going to use in the future, that was the card that I felt like was the card, that the one too many card, to which I couldn't get the United Explorer. So it's not necessarily that I dislike the card. I've gotten good use out of it, good value. I don't think it's worth the $199 annual fee in year 2. And of course, I didn't get my United card for that. So that Hyatt card, you pound sand for all I care.
Totally fair. RJ, any cards you're planning to acquire, you hope to acquire? I know you have a vast and ever-changing spreadsheet on this topic. Acquisitions, closing or product changing or downgrades, and then any regrets on cards that you applied for in 2024.
Dear American Express, please give me a Hilton card. I don't care which Hilton card. I will take any of them. Just give me a Hilton card at this point. I would like a Hilton card. That's what I want in 2025 is a Hilton card. I'm a simple gal. I just want a Hilton card. As far as other things, I probably am going to try in the later part of the year, because I'll need to have a little bit of a cooling off after I get whatever Hilton card they will give me, hopefully in April, is a journey or an autograph journey or an autograph from Wells Fargo. I love the green card. I deeply love the green card, but the green card is going to get refreshed. And depending on how that refresh goes, depends on if I keep that card or not. So I know that Choice is my backup. So if I can get into Wells Fargo, I have that as an off ramp. It would also allow me potentially, if I get the 2X card from Wells Fargo, I could get rid of my Venture X, because ultimately that's my personal 2X card right now. So that may be up for debate. It really is going to depend on a couple of things from Amex, a couple of things from Wells Fargo. If they get really good transfer partners in the first or second quarter of 2025, that's going to change a lot for me, because I already am kind of curious on Wells Fargo, but I might go farther depending on what they have. As far as closing and downgrading, Blue Cash Every Day is gone, baby, gone. Delta Blue is getting product change to the reserve. The Business Gold and Business Platinum are gone, baby, gone. Everything else is staying for now. Venture X is probably a 2026 closure. Freedom Unlimited and Sapphire Sapphire Prefer. I give up on calling that card anything. Probably 2026. I went back and forth with downgrading the CSP to a Freedom Flex. My problem is, if I do acquire any points between when I stop kind of using the cards and when I am actually closing them. I don't know if I want to not have an off ramp for the points, except for cash back and just a statement credit. So for me, it's that thing of like, I'll eat the $95 just because I don't like cash back that much. Um, the problem is I have like $18,000 of credit limit between those two cards, which means I either need to find it somewhere else, I need to upgrade those limits, or I'm just gonna actually have a Freedom Unlimited and a Freedom Flex forever and just deal with my deep existential dread of both of those things. Who's to know? That's a question for 2026, RJ, not a question for 2024, RJ. Um, Cards that I regret. I will not call the chase cards a regret. I would not apply for them again if I was back in March. I don't know if I would call it a regret though, because I was able to like get a new office off of the Freedom Unlimited, so that was great. Um, I think the one card that I genuinely regret, and it was because I was angry at a limit I got, so I applied for the Delta Blue just to get another card so I could take whatever limit I got on that card and put it on a different card. Um, Applying for the Delta Blue because I was pissed off that I did not get a limit I wanted to take that limit and I've used the card 0 times. Um, no, I used the card once to make sure the card worked and did a payment to make sure that the payment was set up correctly. And I have not used that card since. And I've had that card for 9 months. So I don't need that card. I can't get the 15% rebate on rewards with that card. So that card is gone. Um, but that was just me and my temper and my pride and being like, you're going to give me what limit? No, I'll apply for another card and move that limit. See? And it was a 0 annual fee card. So I was like, well, I'll just do this one. And look, we all have moments where we let our anger get the best of us and we do things that we regret. My regret, at least, is a $0 annual fee Delta card, which is a lot better than it could be. And I'm going to product change it into a card that I genuinely will get a lot of value out of. So that also helps. Um, so anyway, that is my thing. A lot of the cards that I got just for subs are gone just because like I don't need a personal gold and a business gold. I like some of that, but also I can in theory use mileage plus X for all of my Apple spend as far as my monthly like Apple One and all of that. So I could in theory do that. I get Blue Business Plus points, get United points. Because United does actually fly to a couple of places Delta does not easily from where I am in New York. So it's not that I don't like United. It's more expensive if I'm paying cash. So because most of my flights are cash, I want the cheapest for what I'm getting. So I don't actually have anything against United. As much as I dunk on United and they're very, very old planes, I don't actually have a problem with United, like from a moralistic standpoint. So getting some United points is not the worst thing in the world. I'll say that.
And you can continue flying your Bombardiers and CRJs with no problem. They're just slightly older Bombardiers and CRJs. It's fine. And they do allow cash plus points bookings. So, you can offset some of the damage in that front row by buying things you're going to buy anyway.
Exactly.
So there you go. All right. So for this three-parter, I will follow the same answer format as my co-hosts. So, what cards do you hope to acquire in 2025 and why? All of the cards that I want to acquire or hope to acquire currently don't exist. By that I mean, obviously, the Wells Fargo Beyond is a card that I will be very interested in seeing, but we know that it is coming. It has not been launched yet. I can't apply for a card that doesn't exist yet. There is the JetBlue Premium card, whatever that will be. Again, they have intimated that it is coming, but I don't know what that card looks like. These are two cards that could fit what I like to do very, very easily. But if they're bad cards, I may not apply for them. The same would be true for a potential luxury Hyatt card. I know Tariq is potentially thinking about that if it ever launches, but mm, we'll see. So cards I could realistically get. Wells has been asking if I'd be interested in another Signify card, so I could potentially do that. I don't have a lot of personal cards that are cards that would be great fits for me right now. I could do the upgrade game with from the Hilton Honors to the Hilton Surpass, or I could decide to apply for a Surpass. So for 2025, there aren't a ton of cards that are available currently that are on my radar to apply for myself. Coincidentally, I could look into my partner adding to their card list. They recently got the JetBlue Plus card. That's the personal JetBlue card, not the business that I have. So looking into adding to their setup and having that setup complement what we're trying to do with JetBlue and with other partners. So that might be a route. In terms of cards that I'm looking to close or product changing, I am waiting for. So Vincent, sorry, there isn't a card for me right now, but once Wells and JetBlue and whoever else announces all of these new fantastic cards, I might come back to it. So we'll go to John's portion. What cards are you closing, product changing, or downgrading? I am currently not considering product changing or downgrading any cards in 2025. The only card I might close is that if this premium JetBlue card does everything the JetBlue business card does and more, and Barclays, who I call the screaming blue eagle of death, decides to give me a really nice credit limit, then I may consider closing my JetBlue business card. But that's got contingency upon contingency. So right now, the JetBlue business card is staying. If things change, I may consider closing that card. Sapphire Reserve right now is going to stay open. I don't have any other cards that I'm considering closing or product changing or downgrading. I already product changed the Slate Edge up to a Freedom Unlimited. I don't see myself changing that card anytime soon. And I'm waiting for Robinhood to close my X1 card because I'm not going to close it. That's on them. They did the thing they did. They know what they did. Yeah. Anyway, and Keith, any regrets about cards that I applied for in 2024? The cards that I applied for in 2024, which would be the JetBlue business card, the Wells Fargo Signify Cash, the Wells Fargo Attune card, the Chase Ink Cash, and the American Express Blue Business Plus. No regrets whatsoever. I added 5 business cards that I didn't realize I added 5 business cards. And the Attune's a really nice card and is my Amazon card. So no regrets, surprisingly.
So Matt, is this the episode where you finally admit that JetBlue is your partner as far as airlines? Can we finally put that to bed? Here's the thing. I am a Delta person. If the best flight to get me somewhere is United and it's roughly the same price, I would fly United. My family had a medical emergency over the weekend, and I was looking for flights to get from point A to point B, and I was looking at United as much as Delta. So I'm not saying that you would only fly JetBlue, but can you finally admit that you have picked an airline partner?
So JetBlue is the first partner I'll look at. They're the first. They've got their own terminal. They're opening a lounge. I am more likely to start with JetBlue than anyone else. I'm still going to try to research to find
just say yes, man.
Matt,
please,
you're not answering the question by
you're dodging the question.
That was
you're playing hopscotch around the question. It is a yes or no question, man.
No, I thought that was a yeah. No, they're the first ones I go to. If they're the first ones I go to, that's
so say the words. Say the words. JetBlue is my airline partner. Say the words, Matt.
JetBlue is my airline partner for as long as they exist.
Okay, that's
Thank,
fair because
okay,
who
okay,
knows?
cool. We'll
But
we'll take that.
I'm very proud of you, Matt. I will lay off you on not picking a hotel partner because we have finally gotten you to pick an airline partner. I'm very excited about this.
It's a shame Lonnie is not here in person to see this breakthrough.
Now, if only Barclays would give me more than a $2,100 credit limit on the JetBlue business card.
We need to have Kit on to be our American and do like an airline off of some variety, and we'll have most of the major ones covered.
I
Tariq,
don't.
we might have to kick you to Southwest for the episode just because you're of your particular location in the country.
We can't we can't double united it.
I mean,
Yeah.
fine, but just be mindful if we do get Kid Kat, like he and I might go at it because I might make a Long John Silver's joke at him, and then we're gonna have a very long recording.
Yeah, because we never have long recordings on this particular podcast.
When I say
No,
long,
we're
I'm talking about longer than average. Like we might go 4 or 5 hours because I'm being stupid.
then please for all the marbles, don't be stupid that day. Um yeah, so I think that covers it. I didn't have any regrets in 2024. I'm not planning on closing anything, but I'm gonna let stuff close. I already got my product changing out of the way. You guys covered everything there. So we'll move on to our next question. It comes from Jason, who asks, what's the most ridiculous response you've heard from someone when you told them about your credit card hobby? RJ.
How much credit card debt do you have?
Yeah,
My
that's a pretty common
answer,
one.
my answer was zero. But if you have more than one credit card, you have to have debt, right? Like, no, I pay my bills, all of them. Um, yeah, I think people are mostly like, or they hear they'll say, "Oh, I have a lot of credit cards," and it'll be like three, and I'm like,
Get
okay,
on my
which
level.
yeah, it's like I when I take out the so I this is this is just me as a person. I carry a backpack every time I leave my house, with what I would consider basic necessities, and other people would consider insanity. Um, if you join the Stack Your Points Discord, you can actually find a rough list of what I carry with me, because another member and I were talking about it. And one of the things I do carry is a second wallet. Now, the reason I carry the second wallet is I have all of my cards except for I think it's the Delta Blue actually, because they cap the number of cards per issuer you can put into your Apple Wallet. But I have all of my cards digitally, but occasionally you have to take a physical card out. So I have a second wallet with my most likely to, if I need a card, like my platinum is in there. So if I'm ever like immediately traveling or something and I need my platinum for a lounge access or something, like they demand the physical card, which they can do, I have it. So I when I pull the second wallet out to show people, it hasn't happened much, but occasionally I will pull the second wallet out and be like, I have this one and this one and this one. I have the Centurion and all of the different colors. Um, it is very funny. It's more funny when I pull out the business gold and the personal gold, and blow their little minds a little bit. That to me is very funny. But yeah, a lot of the like, how many cards do you have? Like, your credit score must be terrible. Like, are you spending $5,000 on each card every month? And I'm like, if only I could. If only these issuers would allow me to do such foolishness, and I made enough to do such foolishness, but no. I pay my YouTube TV bill with this card. But yeah, it's a lot of silliness, a lot of people who listen to, Dave Ramsey thinking credit cards are evil.
Yeah, I can't say I haven't experienced the same. If anyone asks about credit card debt, the only debt I carry is zero interest debt. So as long as there may be debt, but I don't count it as debt until I'm charged interest, and I make sure to never get charged interest. however I see fit to do that. Um, I do get asked questions like, well, how many cards? Why would you need so many cards? Well, this card does this card does this. I maximize my rewards this way. This card is my transfer partner card. So, like, all the spending on these other cards go into this card. And then their eyes glaze over and they fall down. And I ask if you're okay. But beyond that, I haven't had too many ridiculous questions. There are folks who are like, oh, well, I'm thinking about this card. What can you tell me about that card? If it's a card I personally don't like, I will frankly just be like, don't do that to yourself. Don't, no. Um, but I have gotten folks at work and in personal life who have started asking me like about credit cards and my thoughts there. So yeah, nothing super ridiculous, but the most typical question you're going to get is like, well, are you running a lot of debt? Like, how much spend are you putting through? Um, but really, like, those are pretty quick to answer. One, pay your bills off in full and on time every month. Two, if you're going to carry any debt, make sure that debt doesn't get charged interest. And three, always have a plan. And Tariq, when you're not kicking cables, what is the most ridiculous response you've heard from someone when you told them about your credit card hobby?
So, fun fact, I actually was one of those Dave Ramsey troglodytes that thought that people who had 15 different credit cards was a broke idiot in mounds of credit card debt. Fortunately, I've matured. Um, but I think the best one that I've gotten was when I tells people how many credit cards I have, which I think I'm at like 14 now. It's do you spend do you use all those cards every month? And to that I say, no, I only keep like 2 to 3 in my wallet that I use on a regular basis because I'd be a madman if I tried to swipe every single card that I'd use. I have like 3 different 2% catch-all cards that I haven't even touched in months because I don't need to use a catch-all card for every month. Now, granted, I might put a charge on there like every 6 months so it doesn't close, but two of them are with credit unions. So I don't know how quick they are going to need to close those cards. So that's that one. And then other than that, it's you don't need this, you don't need all these cards. Your credit score is just gonna drop because you're getting all the cards, which we've already debunked. And every time I hear it, I rage and kick my cables out.
And recordings everywhere get paused. No,
Hey, it's the day
that's
before Christmas. It's not like we got to work the next day.
So you say. I'm still on for today, and I'm off for 3 days. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. No, that's fair. I also haven't come across too much of the ridiculous. Like there are like those questions, but really you don't come across it too often. Um, folks will ask why, but beyond that, like, hey, I like to travel. Boom, you're good. So we'll go to our last question. It comes from Double Animal Fries, who asks, frequently folks say pick your partners based on your travel habits, but how would you recommend folks pick their partners if they don't yet have travel habits preferences to refer to? Context. They have found that trialing hotels, lounges, airlines, and seats, etc., is an important part of the process, which may not always precede your credit card journey, but instead may go in parallel. Also, credit card benefits rewards may reveal to you travel preferences / must-haves you didn't know you had. So a chicken and egg sort of situation. Be interested in your thoughts and any personal experiences. RJ, I'll throw back to you for this one to start us off as well.
So, a fun fact, the first chicken was hatched from an egg that was not laid by a chicken, because that's how evolution works. So, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Literally, the egg had to come first, or there would not be a chicken. Fun fact for you on this well, actually, this episode's going out on Christmas Day. So that's fun. Um, now I am one of the people on this podcast who talks a lot about picking your partners. I have picked Choice as my backup hotel. I have never stayed at a Choice hotel ever. Um, some of that is a lot of research into hotels, a lot of research into the programs. One thing that you really want to do is actually take a look at the rewards program. Like, what is the redemption? Like, what are the redemptions like? What is the earning like? What do you get for status? Like, I was going to be all in on Marriott until I realized how bananas their statuses were and the fact that I would be capped out at platinum likely forever. So that really changed my feelings on Marriott. I have stayed at Marriott. February, I will be at a Marriott. Doesn't mean I'm not going to stay at Marriott's, but it's not going to be in my top sort of two preferences when I stay. So really, you don't actually have to stay everywhere to get an idea. I like Hilton's rewards program. Now, Hilton is ubiquitous, it's everywhere, but Hilton varies, right? Like, we've all stayed at good DoubleTrees and we've all stayed at bad DoubleTrees. Like, you have to still research the individual place you're staying, regardless of what chain, regardless of status, regardless of anything else. So it's the same sort of thing. If I know, okay, if I think I'm gonna travel a lot by myself, right? Okay, I don't have to care about certain things. If I know I'm traveling with family a lot, I know I'm gonna have to care very much about certain things. I wake up 1 hour before checkout, basically on everything, unless I have a flight to catch. I don't care about free breakfast because usually free breakfast is over by the time that I'm leaving the hotel or getting out of my room to go leave the hotel. So free breakfast is not something that drives me. I know that I like to sleep in. I have a job where my schedule is West Coast time instead of East Coast time, even though I'm on the East Coast. So I get out of bed at 10:30, quarter of 11 every day. That means when I'm on vacation, I'm not likely to want to get up at 8 o'clock. So you have to know things about that, like that about yourself, because that's going to impact your partners that you pick. If you're picking one that has free breakfast and you're like, oh, cool, I would get free breakfast every day, I'm going to save so much money. But you're somebody like me who is going to sleep in as late as possible before going and doing things. No, you're not. Like, that free breakfast is a lie. So you have to sort of do a little bit of that sort of digging. And yes, staying at places is definitely going to help, but you also have to not be afraid to change. Marriott was my second or first, depending on the day, partner with Hilton. They are no longer. Like, if I had had a Marriott card, I would downgrade it to the $0 one on one side or close it if I was on the Amex side, and then I would be done. Like, it's not, you don't have to like officially break up. There is no engraved invitation. You can change your partners at any time. Now, sometimes it's harder than others. If Delta suddenly pulled out of upstate New York and I never could fly Delta from my home airport again, going to United would be a pain in every body part of my body, right? Because I am so oriented to Delta and Amex. Chances are that's not going to happen, but it could in theory. So, like, I have to have some idea of how to change partners. Like, but you can pick partners temporarily. You can say, I'm going to pick Hilton as my primary hotel for the next 6 months and see where it gets me. And after 6 months, if this doesn't work for me, try Marriott. Like, you're not bound to this. Even Lonnie is not bound to United. If he wanted to, he could change partners. Now, a lot of things would have to change, and he might not get some of the redemptions that he's so used to, but he is allowed to change partners. Nobody is beholden only unless you're doing a lot of business travel where you don't actually get to decide. We know people like that who fly on airlines that really aren't their favorite, but they have so much status and so many points built up because of work travel. So you can commit to a partner for a quarter. Commit to a partner for a quarter where you know you're going to have some travel, see what happens, go from there. But ultimately, there's a lot you can gather online that you don't actually have to stay in any of these hotels to figure out. There are some things you will only figure out. So be flexible to start. Be flexible always, but be flexible especially to start.
Oh, absolutely. I would say if you're starting out in the process of attempting to learn who your partners are, picking your partners, um, definitely research your reward, your loyalty program of choice. Give those a couple of stays. You're not beholden to get credit cards with those companies. Like, you don't have to, oh, I'm gonna go in on Hilton, I need the Hilton Honors card, or I'm gonna go in on Hyatt, I need the World Hyatt card. Don't commit to a credit card with a partner until you've I wouldn't say until you've tried the product, because RJ has signed up for the Choice card, hasn't stayed at a Choice property, but knows enough about Choice that the program will work for her, and therefore the Choice card accelerating her status with Choice will be fine for her. So I would say, so if you know that it's going to work in some form or facet, yes, you can take that plunge. But I would say try some nights. If you find that the service at the Hilton is better than the service at the Marriott, and you like the service at the Hilton, great. There can also be other things that will reveal themselves for your unique situations. If you have to book multiple rooms, there are hotel chains that will allow for rooms that attached rooms much easier than other chains that don't. Hilton, I think, is really good with the adjoining rooms. I don't know Marriott's policy specifically on adjoining rooms. I don't know Wyndham's or Hyatt's. But if you have to book multiple rooms and you need those rooms to be connected, you know that Hilton is going to be good for that. Can't speak to Choice specifically, but if you know that that's a thing that you need to do, because let's say, I'm a parent of they're not of a small child. Small child's going to stay in the room with me. But if as they grow and they become a teenager, they're not necessarily going to want to stay in the same room. If we have to start booking an adjoining room, that's two rooms I have to book. I have to make sure that those rooms connect. So I have to make sure that I'm in programs where I know that I can get that as a feature, if that's something that I need. Same thing with airlines. Airlines get a little bit less nuanced, because there's only so many airlines at your local airports, and unless you're in an area where you can fly out of multiple airports, whether they be regional or they are major international airports or major domestic airports, like, I have my choice of 5 to 7 airports that I could pick if I wanted to, between JFK, Islip, Stewart, Westchester, Newark, Teterboro. That's 6 airports right there. No, sorry, that's 7 airports right there. I don't think you can fly out of Teterboro, but whatever. I have a bunch of different options. I can pick airlines based on all of those different options. So I take the airline approach of, who's going to have the flight that I need to book? How can I get that flight? But I also know that there are things that I want out of airlines, like extra legroom. How do I get extra legroom? Well, with Delta, it's more likely going to be Comfort Plus, whereas with JetBlue, I can book in Blue, but then pay for even more space, and I'm not paying a huge premium when I pay cash for even more space. And I'm not having to buy Delta One or Polaris or whatever American Airlines calls their business, or domestic first class. So testing the product is always a good way to go about things. Researching your rewards program just to see what works best for you there. In terms of things like lounges and stuff like that, get a card that will have like a generic lounge, priority pass, sort of thing. If you like your priority pass experience, know that it will only get better from there. So once you pick your airline is most likely going to have a lounge associated with it. Go with the airline lounge. Go with the airline card that gets you lounge access. If you want to experience better than Priority Pass, there's the Sapphire lounges, the Capital One lounges, and then the American Express Centurion lounges. Pick the lounge network that is going to be best for your travel day based on where you fly out of. And you go from there. So I do think there are things where you can do trial and error. I do think there are some nuanced approaches that you can take. Lounges, start with Priority Pass. See the glory that is the lounge first and foremost. It's a Priority Pass lounge, so it's not amazing, but you're away from everybody. It's quiet, free food, free drinks. There's space to yourself, and you're not sitting at the gate all day. So it can only get better from the basic Priority Pass lounge. Yeah, so I think there's different ways to approach it, different ways to think about it, and your life situation is also going to dictate things, because starting early with a young family and your travel as a young family is not going to be your travel as a family with a teenager, is not going to be your travel as a family with a young adult. If you're continuing to do those big family bookings, well past college. Tariq, do you have any other thoughts here in terms of the path of picking your partner?
So I'm going to take something that Lonnie has said previously in other recordings, other episodes, and just sign up for all the rewards programs. Like, just do that because it's free. You're not gonna. There's no cost to signing up for everything. So at least on the hotel side, if you want to try to book whatever hotel you want to try to test out, you'll at least earn their respective points currency for whatever brand you're doing. Because if you don't and you book a Marriott, let's say you book like a Fairfield Inn, and you don't have a Marriott Bonvoy account, you're missing out on Marriott points that you would have otherwise got had you just opened up the free account. So that's one. Regarding airlines, you kind of touched on it, Matt, with your home airport, depending on like the airlines. Just go do the Google and go do the research and see what airlines are most prevalent in your home airport. If you happen to live in a hub, that might make your decision a little bit easier. But for non-hub airports, see how the vicinity to the closest hub, see what airline is that has the most traffic in and out. That might help influence your decision. So me personally, I started off with Southwest because my home airport, San Antonio, Southwest is the big carrier. It flies pretty much everywhere. I ended up making the switch to United after doing a little more research, realizing I wanted to do one of the more the Experience Legacy carriers. And when I eventually wanted to go do a lounge access, there's only one lounge that's airside of my airport, which is a United Club. And I am closer to Bush Intercontinental than I am to DFW by like an hour. So that kind of helped with that decision. So with airlines, that's kind of the thing. But at the same time, if you value one airline service over the other, regardless if it's more convenient, go with the one that you're going to enjoy with the most. Because at the end of the day, even though there's more Southwest flights for me, I'm more tempted to fly United just because I'm probably going to enjoy the the United experience more. I'm going to enjoy being in a United Club lounge. So I'm not sitting at the gate for like an hour, and that may influence my travel day. So that within itself. And then for hotels, a good one would be to kind of do like research on travel destinations that you want to be, and look at where like certain things that you want to do in the city that you want to travel to, and look at the hotels in vicinity to like the landmark or the event to kind of map that out. Because let's say, for example, you are at, Hyatt's, Hyatt's have a smaller footprint compared to Marriott, Hilton, and IHG. So what may be a shorter drive, a shorter commute, or even a shorter walk, depending on where you are, could be, 2, 3, 4 times longer if you're trying to do a Hyatt because it may be small, or you might even be in an area where a Hyatt doesn't even exist, which that could strongly influence your opinion. For me, I'm a big college football fan, and there are some parts of the college football, especially in the group of five, smaller schools, these smaller college towns that don't have a Hyatt. I went to go visit see my brother for graduation. We stayed at a Holiday Inn Express. That was the best hotel that they had in the area which the school we graduated from. So that may influence your decision as well. So the big thing, aside from just doing a trial test run, is just seeing where you want to be, where you're going to fly out of, and maybe even see what other, like for airlines, what other hotels, like whatever airports that you may have other access to. So if you're somewhere like Dallas or Houston, like you have multiple airports. You have like Dallas, you have DFW, you have Dallas Love Field. So that kind of helps influence your decision. If you're more willing to fly out of Love Field because Dallas Fort Worth is a godforsaken nightmare, then yeah, you're probably going to want to fly Southwest, or I want to say Delta is out of Love Field too, if I'm not mistaken. Either way, um, that may influence your decision as well. Like DC, you got Dulles and you got National, or New York, where you just have all the access. So
Yes.
that'll influence your decision as well. So a lot of it, as Sledge from Sledging Team would say, do your research.
One other thing to highlight would be while you're in this trial phase of hotels and airlines, and even if you're looking for cruises, like try to have a card that has a travel category that will cover as much as possible. This is where like the Chase Sapphire Preferred, Chase Sapphire Reserve come into play because their travel also includes a lot of transit, but includes things that other cards may not necessarily cover for travel. The Amex Green Card has a wide travel category, whereas the American Express Platinum only covers the flights. So if you're only interested in points on the flights, the Platinum Card has you covered. But if you are looking at the hotels in general and you're not looking to go through the Amex portal, if you're looking at cruises, things like that, various hotels, or you're testing online travel agencies for whatever reason, make sure that you have a card that has at least like a 3x catch for travel. Not aware of too many cards that have 4x for travel, but that's not to say that they don't exist. And something like the US Bank Altitude Reserve, where you could always, and it's not a card that's publicly available at the moment, but it was one where your mobile wallet could become more redemptions if you're booking hotels, but that's a weird edge case. So, RJ, did you have a final thought here?
I do. One thing you can do, which is really helpful in the sort of research department, is actually like completely from start to finish plan a trip. Just don't hit the buy button. So find the, airline tickets you would want, find the hotel you would want by, figuring out where you'd want to stay and what's around you and all of that. Okay, we want to do X, Y, and Z. So we're going to need to rent a car, or we're going to need to Uber or Lyft, or like literally create a spreadsheet for this trip with everything you could possibly think of. And then just try everything. Try Delta, try United. Now, look, redemptions change. Some things do change, right? But that's going to change whether you've picked this partner or not. So, but do multiple of these. Don't just, do it of June. I'm going to base my entire decision on what, June 2024, right? Like try it for a couple of times a year. Most companies will let you do, at least a year in advance so you can actually take a look at what those redemptions are like. Take a look at the cash price, take a look at redemptions. Um, the tangibles of status are a little bit different, but status ultimately probably doesn't matter for most things the way you think it does. So take a look, plan trips, plan multiple trips, different times a year, different amount of rooms, and just see because you can gain a lot of information just on basically planning trips and seeing what happens. So I would highly recommend that. Just make sure you're hitting everything you can think of because if you're not taking your airline tickets into account, and you don't have an airline partner you're going through, that's going to change your math a lot. I know I'm going through Delta, so I don't have to typically pre-plan my airline, but I can with hotels. So just a word of the wise for figuring this stuff out.
Yes, and at the beginning, you don't have to try to keep it as simple as you can. You don't have to try to consider, oh, well, I know that United is the best airline out of my airport, but I don't necessarily want to go the Chase route, and I don't want to get United cards just yet. So let me go through Avianca because Avianca is a partner, an alliance partner of United. Like, don't you don't have to try and approach it at that level. It is definitely a way to do it, and you're going to get more value that way. However, you're going to give yourself a minor headache. By minor, I mean massive.
Also,
So,
be careful because that does not work for every airport. I cannot use Delta partners for my flights in my airport. I cannot do it. They are not available. I tried really, really hard for a video to do that. There was no availability in the next 365 days. It did not matter how many points and how many like dollars I wanted to give Avianca to do this. I couldn't do it. So before you move points, especially, make
yep.
sure it's possible. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Matt, but this is one that like raises my blood pressure.
If I may add before Matt, you go back on, it is definitely a lot easier to do those partner airline redemptions at hub airports, at domestic hubs. I think I did one of my topics, I did research on that. I think I did like Air Canada for United and Alaska for American, mostly because it was a lot easier to do that. I found it was a little easier to do it through a hub airport. And depending on the research, you're going to need the account, like the mile account that you're going to need in order to do it. Air Canada and Alaska, I got lucky and I didn't need it because I didn't sign up for it yet. But I think like Avianca, ANA, they're like, hey, you need to sign into your account before you look at it. United is the same way with Mileage Plus, like with Mileage Plus miles. You have to sign into a Mileage Plus account to look at how many miles you would need to book a flight.
Yep. Don't think you have to go to those lengths. Like, yes, you may look into those great values, and I'm not saying that those great values don't exist. At the beginning, keep it simple. Keep it simple. Once you find your partner, that's when you can start going down from that first layer of the onion to like the second, the fourth, the eighth, the core of the onion, basically. Why I used onions, I don't know, but pick whatever layer metaphor works for you.
Ogres
Are like onions, yes.
They have layers.
Exactly. All right. So double. Yeah, there's a lot of trial and error that you'll have to do. Best thing is don't jump in, don't overcommit. There are things that you will be able to commit to based on what you know is going to work better for your situation, but trial, error, you're going to make mistakes, be open to making mistakes. And that will do it for our question and answers. If you want to ask us a question, please feel free to drop a question in the comment section of this YouTube video. You can also email us at stackyourpoints@gmail.com. And you can always ask questions in the Stack Your Points Discord in the podcast questions section. You can also discuss previous questions in our past questions, past pod questions. as well. So that's going to do it for questions this week. Thanks so much for watching. We'll talk to you guys soon. If you want to leave us a comment, please do so on the YouTube video of your choice. You can always join the Stack Your Points Discord in the description below. And feel free to drop us an email if you have a question, stackyourpoints@gmail.com. Tariq, if we wanted to find you on the internet, where is the best place to find you?
On the interwebs is going to be obviously the Stack Your Points Discord and Reeks Rewards. Technical difficulties, life happened with work, so I wasn't able to record and drop the video. I apologize sincerely. I did want to drop the video. I just ran out of time with life happening. There will be a video once I get back from travel. So 2025 is the year where I'm going to hunker down and get the priorities done. And that is my word, my promise. And I love y'all and I appreciate the patience. And I'm going to shout y'all out in that video.
There we go. That's okay. I shot a 13-minute Chase wishlist video, and then at the beginning of recording tonight realized, yeah, there's like 3 other things that I meant to put in that video. So I'm going to be re-recording that after we finish here and dropping it on Christmas Eve. There we go. RJ, where's the best place to find you on the internet?
Find me at Do You Take Cards on YouTube. Find me in the Stack Your Points Discord. Find me, thankfully not on a plane to the southern half of the US, because family likes to give me heart attacks before Christmas. What can I say? They enjoy seeing how far my points and miles can stretch at the last minute.
Luckily, those things did not have to happen, and travel tomorrow or later today, if we're being honest, probably might have been a little bit of a hassle, as in no planes anywhere, because the Bombardiers and the wind do not get along. And the CRJ and the snow, as much as it's Canadian, snow defeats it very easily. All right, that'll do it for this week's episode of Stack Your Points. We will see you next week. If Lonnie's still on assignment, we will see what we have to do from there. But thank you so much for watching. Talk to you soon, and bye for now.